Alright, in this video we're checking out the Fatshark Attitude V5 FPV goggles. I did a video earlier where I had these sent off for repair because they arrived from the store, Banggood store, broken with a broken LCD screen here. Not a big deal. It was a lot back and forth, and I eventually got it back. You can watch that other video. I'll link that down in the description. Bottom line, Fatshark customer support was fine, and I got a working goggle. So I finally got a chance to use this for a little bit, and I'm just going to give you my opinion on this goggle and how I feel this goggle compares to some of the other ones that I've tried out there. Again, this is just my opinion based on my experience. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of differing opinions out there, and this goggle has been heavily reviewed already. I got it late and it arrived broken, and so I had to wait even longer before I could actually use it. So you probably have heard a lot of opinions about this one. So just bear in mind, this opinion on my review of this is based on the things I've used. So I'm going to sort of compare it to some of the things that I've used. Now, this is their budget goggle. It comes in at about $300, and I think this replaces the budget goggle that I was previously using a while back, the Dominator V3s. And those are fine. They're very good goggles. I used them for like 3 years, no problem. Although those had a 16:9 screen, this one has a 4:3 screen, and this has an OLED screen versus that other one had an LCD screen. So this is their sort of updated budget goggle with the OLED screens. The screens, I'm sure people are going to wonder how good they are. They're clear. They're not blurry or like out of focus or there's nothing wrong with the screens inherently. It's just that if you compare them to some other OLED screens that I've seen, and the only ones I can tell you that I can compare them to is the ones that I've used on the SkyZone Sky 030 goggles, and those screens have a higher resolution. Well, they're bigger. The screens are bigger. They're a higher resolution screen, and the colors on that OLED screen are just much better than on this one. But I think the Sky 030s are a bit more. They're like $380 regular price, but of course, prices fluctuate up and down. Typically, Fatshark goggles don't fluctuate down too much, so this will probably still be around $300 when you see this video, whereas the Sky Zones, they kind of go up and down. I've seen the Sky Zones as low as $325, so if you're, just based on the screens alone, if you're considering this goggle or the SkyZone 030 goggles, and if you can get them, the Sky Zones, for around $325, I would say get those over these because the screens are just that much better. There's nothing wrong with these screens. They're just a little bit smaller, a little bit lower resolution, not as nice looking. There's nothing wrong with them. They just look like LCD screens to me. That's just my opinion on them. They're fine. I can't compare these to what they look like on the HDOs. I've never used those. I do have a set of HDO2s coming, so I'll be able to tell you how these compare to the HDO2s later down the road, so you want to stay tuned to that video. That'll be coming out at some point. I'm not exactly sure when I'll be getting those. I think they just shipped, so probably about a month or so from now. Gotta spend some time with those as well, so it could be maybe about 2 months before you see that video. Now, comparing these to the Dominator V3s, I would say these are in that sort of similar category. That's just got a 4:3 screen versus a 16:9 screen, and this does come with diversity antennas. You get a omnidirectional and a patch. I believe that the receivers are diversity as well, so it is an upgrade over the Dominator V3s. Now, in terms of the fit, this goggle had the same problem that I had with the Dominator V3s. That at the time I'm like, okay, I'll just deal with it. Now I have a very flat head, so this curved shape here fits Western faces better than Asian faces. So I got a lot of light leakage here in the top and the bottom over here, and it squeezes the sides of my head when I push the goggles towards my face. I use the what do you call those things? The diopters here. They're the same size as before, and no problems with focus. They work fine. But yeah, I had to get this squeezed. I had to basically squeeze this all the way on my head and squeeze the sides of my head to get this to fit on my face right, but I still had light leak. Of course, you can still fix that with just some foam cutouts. You can put some extra foam in here and down there just to block out the light. Honestly, people complain a lot about the light leakage. I'm just mentioning it here because that's, it is what it is, but it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. It does come with a DVR, just like the other Fatshark goggles that are right over here in the same spot. Same DVR as before, same DVR firmware. You know, it's not that great. It's pretty low bit rate and low resolution, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not sure why they're not putting the Scout DVR in all of their basically, you know, $300 and up goggles. It's kind of an odd decision on their part because I'm sure the hardware isn't all that different. And if it is, then I'm not sure why they couldn't adapt it. But yeah, it's got the same old DVR that's been in here for like 5-6 years. That's unfortunate. So if you want to use an external DVR like the Power Plays, which I will have a review on that one soon, you can use the, I think there is an AV out jack right over here. And you can click, you know, connect that up and get your signal to your external DVR and record your footage that way. IPD adjustments here as well. About the same as most other Fatshark goggles, so if you have very wide eyes, you might have an issue with that, or very eyes that are very set close together, you might have an issue with that. Same receiver on-off switch here on the bottom. You have a headphone jack there, and then this is where the receiver modules go in here. Actually, yeah, the antenna comes out this side, on the other side for the second antenna, but the receiver module goes in over here on this side. Now, the reception on this was, I would say, on par, maybe slightly better than some like Yishin budget goggles. Honestly, like if you're looking for like rapid fire type of reception, just because rapid fire, take these out and buy a rapid fire. They're $150. Then you can get that kind of reception. It's a pretty basic receiver. So let me go ahead and show you how this operates. It's a little quirky, but it's you get used to it. Okay, so I got the goggles powered on. You can see here a little readout on the screen that shows you the band channel and the frequency and RSSI on each of the receivers. You can adjust your channel here on that band by just moving the dial up and down. So if I'm on race band 1 right now, and just slide this dial over and go to the next channel, and it'll just rotate, it'll just go within the same band, and then you have to go back down, and then another thing is, if say like you're in this band and you just want to do a quick search, you just quick press this button here, and you'll see what's active on that band, and it'll immediately tune into the strongest signal on that band. So we're in race band. Now if you want to switch to a different band, you have to long press this button, and then you can go through band A, E, L, AVN, Fatshark, and race band. So you can, if you want to switch to that band, then you just long press the button again, and we're in band E, and then within that band you can short press the button, you know, try and lock on to the strongest signal within that band. But obviously the source of the signal is on race band 1 right now, so we'll go back to race band 1. And then we're back in race band, and then if you want to find the strongest signal within that band, just short press it, and then it will lock into R1. So that's how that works. Okay, and then the last two buttons I wanted to talk about here on the top, these work the same as they do on all the other Fatshark goggles. The one on top here controls your DVR functions, and then the one over the left here controls your brightness and contrast. But the one thing I did notice about this one that's different from the Dominator V3s that I've used is that the brightness and contrast numbers do show up as an OSD element on the screen, so you can see what the actual value is, whereas you couldn't see that previously. So that's something that's new. But otherwise, the buttons function the same way. Okay, and lastly, I want to show you the other things you get. The antennas, of course, you get a patch antenna and a omnidirectional antenna, and you get a cleaning cloth for the screens or the lenses. Then you get this case here for some 18650 batteries. Obviously, you'll have to charge them in something else and then stick them in here. You can't charge them inside here, and has a little LED for reading the charge of the batteries. And of course, you get your standard case. And that's everything that comes in the package for your Attitude V5 goggles. So I guess the question is whether or not this is for you or not. If you're familiar with the Fatshark ecosystem and the way things work, this will probably be right up your alley. It'll probably work just fine for you, especially the way that it fits on most people's faces here. If you're already familiar with the way these Fatshark faceplates work and it fits you, then this one will fit you. If it doesn't, then it probably won't fit you. So that's the thing about Fatshark. They're pretty consistent. They don't make a lot of changes. Basically iteration to iteration, just little minor upgrades here and there. Yeah, this is probably an improvement over the Dominator V3s, in probably a lot of different ways. But at the same time, given the fact that there's a lot of newer goggles out, especially like the Sky Zones and other ones that are coming out even now, you gotta kind of wonder whether or not it's worth the money for you. Obviously, if you're looking for reliability, customer support, a really stable, company that's you kind of know what to expect, then yeah, this is Fatshark is going to be for you. If you're kind of looking for more features, a little bit more innovation, better screens, at the expense of maybe a little bit less customer service, maybe a little bit less reliability, then perhaps the other brands out there might be the best for you. As for me, I'm definitely not switching to this. I'm staying with the Sky Zone Sky O3s for now. Yeah, I just for me, between these goggles and the Sky Zones, for one, I'm used to the Sky Zones, and had I tried these first before the Sky Zones, I probably would still switch to the Sky Zones. Obviously, we can't go back in time and redo that, but that's my feeling. And of course, knowing that I've used the Sky Zones for a fairly long time now, I think it's been at least 3-4 months. I don't feel like this is a good enough goggle for me to switch away from that one to this one. So that's my assessment of this goggle compared to some of the other ones I've used. My opinion on that. Obviously, your opinions might vary and differ. Please feel free to let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one.